Here's the answer to question 8 from worksheet 2. So our claim is that for residential buildings, confidence that they meet the building code and are safe to occupy is higher among the North Island residents than South Island residents. So we want to look at the North Island residents. So I need to combine Upper North and Lower North Central together because I'm talking about all of those. And I want to compare that with the South Island residents. Okay, and we are looking at confidence. So we are looking at that confident and very confident group together. Okay, so one thing I need to do is I need to group together that sample size there. So N1 is 215 plus 108, which that is 323, and my second sample size N2 is 167. Okay, so there's my two sample sizes that I'm comparing, and now I need to look at the percentages. Okay, so we know that the South Island, I can add together the 18 plus the 47, and that gives me 65%. So that's one of the percentages. Now I need to work out the North Island percentages. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 16 and the 55, and so that's going to give me, what's that going to give me? 71%. Okay. Now I know that there were 215 Upper North Island. So I know 71% of the 215 people in the Upper North Island felt confident or very confident. So I'm going to work out what that is. Now remember to turn that 71% into a decimal. So that's going to give me, now it's 152.65. So I'm going to just round that to 153 people because I've got to have a whole number of people. Now I'm going to look at the lower central North Island. So I'm going to add the 58 and the 21% together. So that's going to give me 79%. So I know 79% of those 108 people that were in that category, that survey, multiply that together, gives me 85.32, so that's going to be rounded to 85. So now I want to combine these together, and so 153 plus the 85, that means there are 238 residents out of the 323 residents who felt confident or very confident. So I could do 238 divided by 323, and that gives me a probability of 0.7368, or I can round that to 0.74, which is 74%. Okay, now that's the number that I want to compare. So I need to compare that 74% with, so I'm comparing this 74% with the 65%. All right, so those are the two things that I want to compare, and I've got my two sample sizes. Okay, so which category are we in? Well, I'm comparing two things, so it's definitely it's either the second or third one, and it's between two surveys because I've got one group that is North Island and one group that is South Island. So I am going to be in this third scenario. So I need to now go and find my margin of error. So I've got those formulas there. That's my next step. So I am going to find my margin of error for the North Island, and I want to find the margin of error for the South Island. So North Island, we have 323 people in that group. So it's 1 over the square root of 323. And for our South Island, there was 167. So that's 1 over the square root of 167. Okay, so now I'm going to get my calculator for this, and that gives me a value of 0.0556, and doing the second one gives me 0.0774. So let's turn those into percentages. So that's 5.56% and 7.74%. Now that I've done margin of error 1, margin of error 2, now I need to find the overall margin of error. So it's your average times 1.5. So the overall margin of error, average, I need to add those together and divide by 2, and then multiply that by 1.5. So 5.56 plus 7.74 divided by 2 times 1.15 or 1.5, put that in brackets, and we will get an answer of 9.98%. Okay, so that's my margin of error overall. Next step is now to go and find that confidence interval. So a percentage difference plus or minus the margin of error. Okay, so confidence interval is our percentage difference plus or minus the margin of error. Okay, so let's find that percentage difference. So we are comparing North Island and South Island. So we're comparing 74% with 65%. So North Island minus South Island, which was, what was the number? 74 and 65. 74 minus 65, which is 9%. So we've got a percentage difference of 9%, plus or minus that margin of error of 9.98%. So I'm going to do my two separation parts. So 9 take away 9.98 and 9 plus 9.98. And that will give me negative 0.98% and 18.98%. So in terms of our number line, there's 0. So we're going from negative 0.78 up to 18.98, 98. There is our confidence interval there. Okay, so now we need to interpret that. So we are comparing North Island with South Island, and we're comparing those that have confidence in the residential buildings. Okay, so I'm going to say that for residential buildings, North Island residents are between, no, I'm not going to say are between, no, I am, are between 0.98% less confident and 18.98% more confident than South Island residents that buildings are safe. Okay, so that's our interpretation. So we've done our interpretation. Now we need to do the last part, and we need to make a judgment. Do we agree or disagree with that claim? So the claim is that confidence is higher among the North Island residents. And so we know that 0 is inside that confidence interval. So therefore, I disagree with the claim. I disagree with the claim because 0 is inside the confidence interval. And there's our answer.